All right, so kind of starting from the beginning, this is going to be the landing page we see when we come into the Certificate Plus product. But I'm going to start by going through discovery, how we get the certificates into the product in and of itself. And we start with that with a couple different methods. The first and most basic is going to be the network scan option. And as I go through this demo, I'm going to mention, several different times that, our product is configurable. And that's important in the fact that we focus on being able to configure for what your particular business's needs are, what your organization needs, what they, for example, with the scanning, whether it be in off hours, breaking it into batches, things like that, as opposed to customization, which typically comes with a cost, whether that cost be, resource for development, writing code, whatever it happens to be. We try to stay away from customization. We focus on, configuration, being able to give you all the options to do what you need. And the network discovery is no different. Like a lot of other network discovery tools out there, we're going to come through here. We're going to ask you if you want to run the scan now, if you want to do it in a scheduled manner, whether or not you're looking for, an IP range, you're going after a subnet, you're going after a list of URLs, where we're going to start and end with those IP ranges, how many, we're going to do per batch, et cetera, et cetera. We can really configure this so that we can be non-impactful to your network and do this scan, including even throttling the scans. Alternatively, if your organization happens to have a network scanning tool in place already, maybe for network threat vulnerability or something like that, a Qualys or a Nessus, Tenable, Rapid7, that type of thing, we can integrate directly with those tools and use their network scans in place of having to add additional network scanning to your network. So that exists as an option as well. So continuing on with the different types of scanning we can also do a managed devices scan, a certificate authority scan, or a cloud scan. And I'm going to show you these, and it kind of comes into a dual purpose, because at this point we start talking about not only how we can discover certificates, but how we can act on your behalf and manage those certificates going forward. The goal of our tool is a true end-to-end certificate lifecycle management tool, meaning that, all the way from the inception of I need a certificate to that certificate is on an endpoint and presented to end users, we help you manage that entire flow. As for certificate authorities, we are vendor agnostic. We don't really focus on any one or group of vendors. We try to remain relevant with what we see our customers using. So we continually add, different vendors to our tool, and we do so largely in a agentless manner. We focus on using APIs and other methods that are agentless in order to integrate with these so that there's no additional software overhead. No additional needs to deploy across the network. So with that said, you'll see, we have most of the major certificate authorities included within here. Your Certigos, DigiCert, Entrust, GlobalSign, Google, Amazon, and then also your internal PKIs with Microsoft and several other vendors depending on who they have. One important thing to mention here, though, is that just because we don't have a vendor logo here doesn't mean we don't support it. You'll see that there's options here for custom, and there's also a generic certificate authority option down here. Once again, if they have some type of programming interface we can interact with, we can typically bring them in through customized workflows and manage those certificate tools as well. So when we bring these in and we actually add a specific certificate authority in here, not only does it allow us to discover from those certificate authorities, and we'll pull down the certificates that have been issued and also any templates or profiles that certificate authority is using, but we will also be able to act on your behalf going forward. And we can wrap role-based access controls around those to ensure the right people have the right access. But no longer do you have to log into 2 or 3 different CAs. You can log into AppviewX and have a single pane of glass in order to manage all your certificate authority needs. So then continuing on to the device management section. So when we start talking about managing endpoints, discovering certificates from endpoints, deploying certificates, doing renewals, all those types of things, we have a very large support base of different endpoints that are fairly common for folks to use. In the ADC load balancer space, your A10 networks, your F5 networks, appliances, Citrix NetScaler, Avi networks. We're starting to see a lot of, definitely a lot of Amazon ELB out there. We have native integrations for these, and we can go ahead and integrate directly with them. Not only discover your certificates from those devices, but also deploy certificates to them and renew certificates all the way down to the individual VIP level of these appliances. So being able to deploy to the actual VIP that's presenting, pages or services to your end users. The next most common we probably see is going to be servers. Once again, vendor agnostic. So, if you're looking for your Apache Tomcat servers, if you're looking for Linux servers in and of themselves, in the Linux world also, JBoss maybe, or Nginx, we have integration points with all of them. When we get into Microsoft, your Microsoft IS, Microsoft Server, SQL, etc., we have native integration points, and we can manage those certificates and discover those certificates from these devices. So, very vendor agnostic, very, as we were, discussing earlier, configurable to be able to meet whatever your particular needs are. I can go through all of these. It would take me forever, but we do have integration points with, your info blocks and bind DNS. When we talk about firewall, Palo Alto, Checkpoint, F5, Cisco ASAs, whatever you happen to be using. Talking about switches, Arista and Cisco, Juniper switches, routers, Juniper and Cisco primarily. When we talk about cloud, though, if you're looking into the cloud, we do have native integrations with the three major cloud providers, which would be, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. So AWS, GCP, and Azure. So we do have native integrations with them. We can help you manage your certificates in the cloud.